part is, I would say, VPN and Direct Connect, Transit Gateway, Direct Connect Gateway, and VPN Client. So the bigger concepts, you wanted to connect your, I would say, your corporate data center to your AWS network. How do you do that? So just moved my, let's say, castle a bit up there, added corporate data center, and then added some databases into there, just added some another VPC, a private subnet, just looking here. And then if you wanted to connect this VPC in this region to this corporate data center, how do you do that? You do, number one, do that through the direct connect, right? Or you do that through the VPN, right? So if you wanted to talk about the direct connect, how it's going to work. Usually there is a direct connect location, right? And then in that direct connect location, you have something called a direct connect or DX router on the AWS side, a customer router on the corporate data center side or the client side. And then what you do is you connect a DX router with a customer router, and that's called cross connect. And then you connect this customer router to your corporate data center through the customer gateway. And then you connect your DX router to your VPC through private WAF, right? And then on the VPC side, you have virtual private gateway. So there was too much in here. So basically, if I'm a client sitting and I have an AWS account and I wanted to order a direct connect, what I'm going to do is I go to my AWS console and I kind of look up for different direct connect location. So these places are actually provided, these locations are provided by the third parties. So they have those connections in place already. And then what you do is you look up for some direct connect location providers closer in your region, reach out to them through your console, and then you say, I wanted to have this direct connect connection, and then that's how it works. Like, I won't go into details for this video, like how it works, but basically I'm going to be talking about the architecture, right? On the AWS side, on the VPC side, you have virtual private gateway. On the corporate data center side, you have the customer gateway. In the direct connect location, you have direct connect router, and then you have customer router. Both of them are connected through the cross connect, and this part is called direct connect location. And then from direct connect GX router to the virtual private gateway, it goes through something called private WAF. So if it goes to a VPC, it's going to be a private WAF. So WAF stand for virtual interface function or something like that. I don't remember that, but anyways, it doesn't matter at this point, right? What it means is, so WAF is securely connecting to a VPC is you use a private WAF. If you want to reach out to a public service like S3, then you will be using something called a public WAF, right? So if it's a EC2 instance with a public IP, or if it's an S3 bucket, or if it's a DynamoDB, so it's not a VPC, then it's a public WAF, right? And then if you so it's going to be a public WAF, but if it's a VPC, then it's going to be a private WAF, right? So now what if the consumer VPC wants to connect with a corporate data center, right? So this is our consumer VPC, and this one wants to connect to the corporate data center. How it's going to do that, right? So let's see. It's going to do something. So you can see I'm adding a few stuff in here, right? But before I do that, so we have this private link already connected. So we had this, I would say, this private subnet here. It has an EC2 instance, it has an ENI, and then in this VPC, the VPC that's connected through the direct connect to the corporate data center, we are adding a network load balancer, right? So now this one becomes a provider VPC, right? Similar to this one, when we had a network load balancer into this VPC, it become a provider VPC. Now, if we added a network load balancer here, now this one become a private, I would say a private, not a private, a provider VPC. So no, now this consumer VPC through this private link network load balancer. The specific VPC is reaching out to the corporate data center. So the consumer VPC is accessing the on-prem or on-premise data center via the private link, but over the VPN or DX connection. So it's not doing that directly. What it's doing, it's actually, so this VPC, since it's already connected to this corporate data center through the direct connection, that's how it puts a network load balancer in here and connects to the corporate data center. Okay, so now let's talk about the VPN, right? So for AWS VPN, we have a virtual private gateway on the AWS side, and then we have again a customer gateway on the corporate data center side. And this is how we have two, since there are two arrows, it's been there are two different tunnels. For VPN, we usually have two tunnels for redundancy, right? So like if one tunnel goes down, then you have the other tunnel up there, right? So for the difference between a direct connect and a VPN is direct connect goes through a dedicated route between AWS network and corporate data center, but for the VPN, it goes through the public internet, but the traffic is being encrypted, so no one from the outside can read it, what's happening or what's data is being transferred from this one. So if there is a third party trying to reach out the content that's being transferred between AWS and corporate data center, they cannot do it because the traffic is being encrypted. But in case of direct connect, it has a dedicated route between data center and then AWS. So it's not being encrypted. So the traffic that goes through the direct connect is not encrypted, but for the VPN, it's done. But what happens to the VPN is through public internet, AWS is through a dedicated route. So that's like the basic difference between them. Let's see what else we have. Yeah. And now, if you want to, this data, I would say a data center wanted to reach out other AWS services like Redshift, SNS, and S3, it can actually do that over the VPN or over the DX through the endpoint interface, right? So there is a server sitting in this data center, wanted to reach out to Redshift in here. What it does, it goes through the direct connect or through VPN to this endpoint in this VPC, and then up to the Redshift. So this is how it works. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so it goes through the VPN DX. And DX stands for direct connect. So that's how it works. Okay, so now let's do something. Since this direct connect location and then this these VPCs are in the same region, which is region 2, you have the same, I would say, the same. Yes, your direct connect location and your VPCs are in the same region, it works. But how about if the DX location is in a different region? Can you access that through a private web? So that's where it cannot work. So if they were in the same region, we were using private web and easily we were able to access this VPC. But what about if this VPC wanted to be reached out through this corporate data center or maybe like another corporate data center? How does it work? Can a WIF work? No. At that point, a private WIF will not work. And then that's when you have to add a direct connect gateway, because the direct connect gateway leverages different regions. So this is one region and this is another region, right? So this corporate data center or another one through the direct connect gateway can be connected to this location, to this region, and then through this region through the private web, right? So that's the basic thing. So I'm just adding another direct connect location, just adding another corporate data center, and then now this corporate data center through the customer router, through the DX router, through the private web, and then it's reaching out to this VPC in this region. Okay, so I think so you did get the point. So a private web in the same region, direct connect location, and then VPC in the same region, private web does work, but if it's a different region, then private web will only work if you're adding a direct connect gateway in there. So now I added the concept of a transit gateway. So I removed my castle because at this point, I would say it's not as useful as it was in the early parts of this concept. So let's go with this. So I'm adding some transit gateway, right? So let's see what the transit gateway is meant and what is going to do. So I added just a few more regions out there, and then I added some more VPCs in there. And then what happens is now, if you want to connect these VPCs, all of them together, so VPCE can talk to this VPC, and this VPCE can talk to this VPC, and then to this VPC, not to this one, because no, the one that directly connected. So this VPC, and this VPC, if they wanted to talk to each other back and forth, they can do that. So like they can even talk crosstalk. So this VPC can talk to this one, even if they're not directly connected, but since they're connected through the transit gateway, they can talk to each other. So that's, and also for these for these VPCs, right? So you have VPC B, VPC C, and then this VPC A. All of them can talk to each other, and that's the purpose of a transit gateway. Okay, so a transit gateway is meant to connect different VPC, and then, excuse me, these VPCs can talk to each other. So this is how it works. Okay, so let's see what else we can do in here. What's happening? Okay, so whenever you have a transit gateway, right, and then you wanted to reach out to the corporate data center, it's going to do that through a transit web. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I had to clear my throat, kind of like the end of the day for me. And my coffee almost kind of finished. But anyways, I think I have a little bit more time and a little bit more content to cover. So what we dropped in here was a transit WIF, right? So for direct connect, we have three different types of WIF or connections, right? So you have the public WIF, you have the private WIF, and then you have a transit WIF. So whenever you have a transit gateway, you are using a transit WIF. You cannot use a private WIF or a public WIF. For transit gateway, you do have to use a transit WIF. That's how I have it in here. So you have a transit WIF from this direct connect location to this transit gateway, and then these VPCs. So now all of these VPCs connected through the transit gateway, through this direct connect location to this corporate data centers, they can talk to each other back and forth. Okay, and then let's see what else I have. So I'm just adding the AWS client VPN in here. So a client VPN is basically if you have an employee and they wanted to reach and they wanted to work from home, but they have to access your corporate data centers, then you wanted to give them kind of like a specific or certain VPN connection. That's how it works. I won't go into details, but it's different than a site-to-site VPN. So this is like connecting your data center to AWS is kind of a site VPN, but AWS client VPN, when you have your client, I would say like an employee trying to reach out to corporate data centers, and then from corporate data centers connecting to the AWS, they can use an AWS client VPN. So I think so, yeah, that was part 6. My next part is going to be, again, VPC peering in a bit more on the transit gateway, which includes transit gateway peering and then transit gateway route table. So transit gateway is a huge topic. We're covering just the basics of it in here.